in our head that all those 700 plus people on death row in San Quentin are not human the way we are. And in fact, we can't even allow them to live in order for us to be saved. We turn a switch. We disconnect. Not human like us. What do we do about Muslim people? Terrorists. Man, look at it, got brown skin. Look what we do. The whole thing, immigration. Brown skinned people. Go after them. Get their documentation. Not like us. Not like us. Not like us. And the more we gain wisdom, the more we learn to meditate and realize that all of life is one, is we don't work anymore out of that duality. Us and them, right and wrong, black and white. We begin to know that at a very deep level, we are all connected to one another. So then I visited. Very scary for me. I've never been to prison in my life. But I realized the guy from his letters, he never asked me for anything. But I realized he had nobody to visit him. So I said, I'll come visit you sometime. He sends the visitor forms in return mail. So excited, you're coming to visit me. Sneaky part of God, part 2. Because he says, well, I'm a Catholic, you're a nun. Will you be my spiritual advisor? So I'll fill out all the forms, you're a spiritual advisor. In 2 years, and he's going to be killed in the electric chair. He's going to be moved over to the death house 3 days before. If you ever read a state's protocol for death, it is going to chill your blood. Here are all the steps for killing a human being. In Louisiana then, the rules were 3 days before the execution, put them over in a holding cell just a few feet away from the electric chair. As Warden said, we want them to get their minds around it, what's going to happen. We want them to be able to go peacefully. He's a born-again warden. He had a Jewish guy who died, and he was worried because he didn't say anything about Jesus before he died. People all come in from their own perspective in this. And we want to respect that because people are different. And we come up with different sensibilities and things our mama taught us and our grandmother or what we heard in our church. But I didn't know that when Pat's going to be killed at midnight, at 5:45 in the evening, everybody's got to leave the death house except the spiritual life. The lawyer's got to leave, everybody's got to leave. It's just going to be me with this man about to be killed, and we're counting the hours. I learned an important thing about grace and strength to stay in the present moment, because if I let my mind go, even on the last day, going ahead to, oh God, we got 5 more hours. Now it's going to be, then it'll be midnight, then we're going to walk. What if he falls apart? What will I do? I was hanging by a thread. He was helping me. We were like feet firmly planted in midair, holding each other up, because he'd say, Sister Helen, are you okay? Because he knew I had never done anything like this before. And he's saying to me, look, sister, you can't be there at the end. You can't see this at the end because it could scar you. And it's electrocution. They're going to pump 1900 volts through his body. And he said, you just pray God holds up my legs. And you just pray for me as I make that walk. And in this book, I talk about a dialogue that I had with Pope John Paul. And that was the very words that I said to the Pope. I said, Your Holiness, does the Catholic Church only uphold the dignity of the innocent life? And I'm all for that, of course. But what about the guilty? And when here I am walking with a man to execution, and he's chained, hand and foot, surrounded by guards, and he says, Sister, please pray, hold up that God holds up my legs. He didn't want to faint. He didn't want his knees to buckle. He didn't want to be dragged like dead meat, thrown into the chair. Where's the dignity in someone who's been rendered perfectly defenseless? And you can see in this book, there was a lot of dialogue going on in the Catholic Church because there's a lot of dialogue going on around human rights. And churches have been part of that too. But as Lenny was saying, it's a worldwide thing. The majority of nations in the world now don't have the death penalty. And that's because of human rights. 40 years ago, there was only a small handful that didn't have the death penalty. Now the majority of the 195 to 194 nations in the UN don't have the death penalty. What's happening? Because we're awakening to the fact that we can defend ourselves in a society without imitating the behavior of the criminal. What other crime do we let the behavior of the criminal determine what we're going to do? I mean, just think about it for a minute. Somebody stabs somebody to death, so we're going to stab them. They burn down somebody's house, we're going to burn their house down. Think of it. Well, they killed. And justice means we got to kill them. And the whole rest of this story is about what's been happening to the people who've been doing the killing for us. Did you ever think of that? I tell about Colonel Cootie, who was supervised on death row in Louisiana, and he did fine with his job. He could have worked there the rest of his life being a supervisor and just seeing everybody got their trays, seeing there was peace on the tier, until he moved into the execution squad. And then he had to participate in this man who's defenseless and strap him down and kill him. And he called me in his office after he'd been through 5 executions. And he said, "Sister, I'm not going to be able to keep doing this job." He said, "I know their crimes. I know everybody on this death row. Some of their crimes are unspeakable. But boy, when you're close to it and you see the defenselessness of the person, and you know they're alive when you take them out of that cell, and then you're going to strap them down, and then you're going to kill them. I come home after these executions, and I just sit in my lazy boy chair the rest of the night, and I can't eat, and I can't sleep. My gut is telling me it's wrong. My head tells me it's legal. My gut tells me it's wrong. And I'm participating in the death of somebody who's been rendered defenseless. And you